hear from the administration what they want to spend all of that money on before you're willing to say whether or not you're voting yes on it. Is that what you're saying?
I think most members, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. We represent our districts, and we understand. We support I support the president. I support this action, but at the same time, we've got to pay for this. So how is this going to be dealt with? I would actually like to see Iran pay for this, whether it's 20 billion or 200 billion, whatever it is. Look, they've been at war with us for 47 years, and it's finally being ended by the president, which is awesome. But it comes at a cost, and they have resources. They have been siphoning those resources away from their population for those 4.5, 5 decades. And certainly they could pay that bill pretty quickly once things get up and running and the Ayatollah is no longer in charge. So I think that's an option that we need to pursue as well.
You want to see whatever this costs the US taxpayer, whatever the Pentagon does come to you and ask for to be offset by Iran?
Well, I think we got to pay for this somehow, right? We don't have endless money. I mean, it doesn't just come with the cost of conflict. I mean, everything in Congress that we pay for, people like me that don't want to bankrupt the country say, how are we going to pay for this? What are we going to do without so that we can have this? And unfortunately, in Washington, there are very few people that ask that question, which is how you end up $38 trillion in debt. But
That's a lot. So that's Representative Scott Perry, who fashions himself a national security expert because he was a Navy SEAL or something. There's so much in that minute and a half, you guys. There's so much. First of all, Iran's going to pay you guys. So good news, just like the border wall that Mexico's going to pay for. Now the Republicans in Congress want you to believe that Iran is going to pay for us bombing the hell out of them. Seriously, that's the big plan, I guess. That once it's over, Iran is going to pay for the war. They're going to pay us back for dropping bombs on them and killing. I mean, I'm sure there's not going to be a problem. Yeah, you may have accidentally killed 171 girls in a school, but once the Ayatollah is gone, it's gonna be fine. Let's talk about that part. Once the Ayatollah is gone, none of these people understand the structure of the country we're at war with. None of them. That's Scott Perry. He is a member of Congress, the Republican Doormat Congress. And he says, once the Ayatollah is gone, what Ayatollah? Khomeini is dead, but guess who's now the Ayatollah of Iran? You're not going to believe it. It's Ayatollah Khomeini, his son, 56 years old, a younger and crazier version of the Ayatollah, because the Ayatollah isn't just one person, it's a position. And there's lots of them. And no matter how many we bomb, there's going to be another. And the belief that it's somehow a dictatorship and all we got to do is kill the leader and it's over is why we're now sitting 3 weeks into a war with no real plan to end it. And then you've got these chuds in Congress saying, well, Iran's going to pay for it, and meanwhile, where are we at as a country? Where we're at in the country, this is where we're at in the country. We're paying for it. And boy, are we paying for it. Here's Jerome Powell talking about, so if Trump's implacable enemy, Jerome Powell, the Fed met this week and they decided rightfully not to lower the interest rates. And why are they not lowering the interest rates? Because the economy's been collapsing. And it was collapsing before Trump launched a completely illegal and unplanned war. Okay, so this is what Jerome's talking about. Why didn't rates come down this week, folks?
The thing that I think good number of people on the committee are concerned about is just the very, very low level of job creation. If you adjust what has been the trend job creation over the past, let's say 6 months, if you adjust that for what we think, our staff thinks is the overstatement due to overcounting, effectively there's zero net job creation in the private sector.
Zero net job creation in the private sector, folks, for 6 months, not 3 weeks, not a month, 6 months, not a year and a half, because that's when Biden was president and he handed the world's most robust economy to Donald Trump. But in just 1 year, the Republican Congress and Donald Trump have managed to torch one of the most successful economies in the world. But don't worry. Don't worry. Trump knows the real problem. The real problem isn't Trump's malfeasance and malevolence and incompetence and his chaos, which we'll talk about. No, it's obviously Jerome Powell's fault. Here's Trump just yesterday with the Japanese prime minister, which I don't know how these foreign leaders do it, how they show up and sit down with this man and try to keep a straight face. That's before we talk about the Pearl Harbor comment, which we'll get to with our guest, I'm sure. But this,
I think he's grossly incompetent. Today, certainly you should be lowering interest rates. Certainly, who would not lower them? But he's stubborn and he's got Trump derangement syndrome. But a lot of people have that, it's not a curable disease. But he's also building, he should be lowering rates immediately. But he won't do that because he's a stubborn, incompetent person. And that's a bad thing. When you're stubborn and incompetent, I think it's the worst combination. And he's also not a smart person.
he literally described himself. I mean, come on. Stubborn? Yeah. Incompetent? Oh, yeah. Stupid? Donald Trump. Meet the mirror. And what makes Trump the most dangerous one is the fact that, one, he has no idea that he's the problem because he's also a narcissist. But the real problem is there's no more adults in the room. He's surrounded by sycophants and idiots like Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio and Bessent and Lutnick and all the others, because this is the real story. Here's another funny part. If you remember Scott Perry at the beginning, he said that we've got a $38 billion national debt. See, that's cute of Scott to say that, because the truth is it's gotten bigger. It's 39 billion now. And why is that? Because this guy climbed it, Broing. He added another 39 billion, 2.8 trillion. I want you to think about that number. Since Trump took office, the national debt has climbed 2.8 trillion. That's a staggering number. Okay, that's not our friend Joe Biden. Nobody else. That's with Trump in office. And what does that look like to working class people? Let me show you what it looks like to working class people. It looks like this to working class people. It looks like a survey that just came out from ABC showing that most Americans say a new car, a week-long vacation, and health care are unaffordable. Look at these numbers. And I want you to look at that last one at the bottom. I think I've showed you this chart before, by the way. The last one at the bottom is gasoline. Needless to say, folks, this was taken February 12th through 17th, before we bombed Iran, and gas went up 40% in a week, over $1 in a week. So now even gas is unaffordable. Okay, folks, this is what it looks like to working class people right now. Oh yeah, it's definitely Jerome Powell's problem. It's definitely everybody but Donald Trump. But this is Donald Trump's kind. And this is the scary part for me as a person who talks to a lot of working class people every day. This should shock you, folks. This is a chart that just came out this week from the Financial Times. And what this shows you, if you don't understand charts, because I was an international relations major, folks. But what this tells you is the top 10% of U.S. earners, the richest people in America, account for nearly half of all consumer spending. Chew on the number for just a moment. Half of all consumer spending is the top 10%, which tells you that basically the only reason this economy is in any way floating at all is because the ultra rich are buying all of the things. Okay? That's the Trump economy. And you look at how it's skyrocketed under him. Okay? That's the Trump economy. Oh, it almost got close during the pandemic when we were all equals for a minute there. But boy, have the rich gotten richer. And the working class, I'm not even going to say poor. It's almost said 90% of Americans, 90% of Americans account for less than half of consumer spending. Okay. And this week, one of these fools, I think it was one of the guys up there at the Trump administration, said that, yeah, there's going to be a slight impact because of the Iran war on working class folks' economies. But this is what it is. Ann Applebaum had this great story today. And it goes to our conversation we're about to have with my incredible guest. But it seems like everyone but Trump understands what he's done. Okay. Everybody, ally leaders are not joining him because they know that any positive gesture they do will count for nothing. And in her story, she lays it out beautifully. Donald Trump does not think strategically, nor does he think historically, geographically, even rationally. He does not connect actions he takes one day to events that occur weeks later. He does not think about his behavior in one place will change the behavior of other people in other places. He does not consider the wider implications of his decisions. He does not take responsibility when these decisions go wrong. Instead, he acts on whim and impulse. And when he changes his mind, when he feels new whims and impulses, he simply lies about whatever he said or did before. Yeah, that couldn't be a better description of Donald Trump. But what makes me really sad, and the reason I've got a great guest today, because it also describes the entire Republican ecosystem at the moment. The entire Republican Doormat Congress is all in. And that's why I opened with Scott Perry and not Trump. because that's the demonstration of what we face in the United States Congress. The one group that's supposed to be a check on this the executive has forsaken that duty in ways. And we need to elect people who actually give a damn about doing the right thing and not sycophants who go on TV and justify a war with the fantasy that the enemy that we destroyed is going to be the ones paying for it. Because that's never happened in the history of ever. Period. Never happened. And they want you to believe that will happen. We need real people to go to Congress. And that's why, as always, I've got the greatest guest ever because that's what we do. And he's a good friend of mine. And you should know him already, I'm sure. He's been a friend of the show for a long time. We're going to get on the show. I am Fred Wellman. This is On Democracy with FP Wellman. We're here on a Friday night with the Midas Touchdown to talk about all the issues we face in our democracy, from the economy to the Congress to the chaos. I'm thrilled to have a great guest, Harry Dunn, join us. Let's get on with the show. I'm so glad to have you here. All right, welcome back. Isn't it nuts? I mean, what the moment we face is so insane. I'm so glad you guys are here. Look, before we get any further, I always forget to tell you, please like, please share. We had 4,000 of you guys watching live last week at one point. That's amazing. Thank you, the Midas Mighty. I do notice people stop watching the show on the second day. Look, folks, get that, share this thing, baby. Like this, baby. Go back, make comments, tell your friends this is the best show on the internet, by God. So join us for that. But getting on with you. So make sure if you haven't liked and shared, I don't know what you're doing. I really don't know what you're doing. I don't know. But anyway, getting on the show. So I've got a great guest. As I know, he's a friend. I've shown you the pictures before. I didn't get them uploaded in time. Harry Dunn, of course, is not just the former Capitol Police officer who stood up for our country on January 6th, and more importantly, has stood up for our country every day since, taking the barbs and arrows in that process. He has been a pro-democracy fighter like me, become a dear friend of mine, which is the honor of a lifetime for me. Every time I'm in D.C., we visit. He towers over me. But in addition to that, he's now a member. He's running for Congress. He's running for Congress in Maryland's 5th District. He's got a crowded field, but man, as always, Harry stands above the fray. Let's welcome Harry Dunn to the show. I'm so glad to have you here, brother.
Hey, Fred, what's up, brother? Good.
There you are, man.
Yeah.
Good to see you again, man. I was gonna say we gotta stop meeting like this, but I'm not going to.
Listen, in the age of Zoom and being able to face call and all this the digital world, it's great that even though we're miles and miles apart, we still get to talk to each other. So
Yeah.
hopefully, though, come November or after the election, we won't be
Right.
miles and miles apart, my
We'll
friend.
be hanging out, right? I mean, yeah, the potential freshman class is pretty incredible.
Man.
And there's so many great democracy fighters
Yeah.
running for Congress. It's remarkable the number of people who are like you and I, and we come from different parts of the political spectrum, all of us.
Yeah.
But there's so many good people running, and I'm thrilled. And you decide to step up again. I mean, let's just start there. What drove you to run for office again, my friend? I mean, it's a big step. I mean, you're getting your ass kicked already, the world. Why not, right?
Well, what you just said, we have so many great people in this potential freshman class that are all across the political spectrum. But what is that one unifying thing that we all have? We believe in democracy.
Yeah.
We believe in the Constitution. We actually believe in the people. And I feel like that's a common thread that all of us share. All of the good candidates, if you will,
Yeah.
that share that. But yeah, so Fred, I've always wanted to be helpful. I've always wanted to do my part, if you will. Like I said, I was a Capitol Police officer for close to 16 years. And even after January 6th, I was a police officer for about 3 years after. So, a lot of people didn't even know that the Capitol Police existed before January 6th. But being a member of the Capitol Police for 11, 12 years before January 6th, I've always believed in serving my country in whatever capacity I could, serving my community, and just being helpful and useful. So when I saw an opportunity to run, this is my second run for Congress
Yeah.
in as many terms. But I think that it's important. So I got a question. Hey, you lost, are you worried that another loss could, harm your, listen, man, I don't have aspirations to be a career politician. I don't. I
Yeah.
do believe in standing up and meeting the moment that we're in right now. And I believe that this moment isn't time for politics as usual. I believe, like I said earlier, we all agree on a lot of the same issues, affordability, women, bodily autonomy for women,
Right.
common sense gun reform. We believe in those things. So I don't believe this is a huge policy disagreement. This election isn't about policy disagreements. It's about who's going to be the most effective at curtailing this administration's wannabe authoritarian. And like you said in your intro, we need people in Congress that are actually going to use the guardrails, are actually
Right.
going to enforce their co-equal powers that they
Right.
possess. But we see so many people bending the knee, if you will, and just moving to the side and let Donald Trump and this administration do whatever they want to do. And Republicans in Congress and in the House of Representatives and in the Senate are refusing to stand up and hold him accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's shocking to me, and I know it's just been chaos. I think for me, the through line for that intro and for our conversation too, and in our lives that you and I have led for the last, I mean, for me, 10 years, and you, of course, especially starting in 2020 or 2021, is the chaos of Trump. I mean, if you look at what's happening in our country, so much of it ties back to just complete instability. I mean, the one thing you want in a leadership, any leadership, by the way, I'm talking army leadership, police leadership, the president is stability, and even good or bad, just freaking stable, right? And what Ann Applebaum described in that quote, when I read it this morning over coffee, I was like, oh my God, that is one of the best 2 paragraph descriptions I've seen of Donald Trump in the sense of, and again, you and I, before we had those adults in the room, there was some leadership that actually stood as a check on his power, but now all that's gone, and that chaos is turning itself into instability economically, instability in the national security, instability in the world. I mean, and for me, the thread line for you, and I know you and I are the same here, is that working class people are the ones left behind. You and I, we're just dudes, right? I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
neither of us are rich, neither of us
Nope.
come from money. I was a soldier, you were a cop. I mean, neither of us have gotten, I love, my favorite one is I think he's got rich as a grifting influence. Like,
I don't,
I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Fred, I'm waiting on that. Like, where has that?
Where's that check?
I don't understand when people say that. Like the right will they call us like these capitalizing their 15 minutes of fame and stuff. It's I was making more recently, way more money as a Capitol Police
Hell
officer,
yes.
way
Hell
more
yes.
than I am now, and it was stable. I had my health insurance paid for. Now, I mean, hell, due to the Republicans refusing to extend the Obamacare healthcare subsidies, my health insurance has gone up over $1,300 over the years.
Jesus.
And I'm just like, man, and like you said, I don't come from money. I live paycheck to paycheck. In fact, to be very transparent and clear, I got an electric bill and a gas bill right now that I'm looking at, and I'm saying, hey, which company has the lower late fees? That's which bill I'll pay on time. And so many people are making those decisions day in and day out. Hey, am I going to be able to? Hey, we're keeping the lights on or the water on. Hey, we're going to make this car payment or we're going to risk getting evicted and hope that that next check comes in. So many people are living with those decisions. Those are real life decisions. And
They are.
let's not talk about the gas prices that are through the roof.
Right.
Oh,
Now.
basically for no reason. This didn't have to happen.
No.
This didn't have to happen.
None
So
of it.
that's just another expense that Donald Trump owns. That's just another notch on the economy, the failed economy that Donald Trump owns. And he can't skirt his way around it. There's no way, there's no messaging to say this is the Democrats' fault. Y'all control all 3 branches of government. Like he's just doing whatever he can to make lives for his friends better and lives for the American people, the everyday working class, a living hell.
And we don't exist to those guys. I don't think we exist to so many of these
Nope.
members of Congress. I don't think we exist. I mean, I've seen some of the stories, some of the things and you see it in the little statements they make, the offhand comments about who was it Bernie Moreno or one of the senators said, I talked to a woman on Snap and she told me she doesn't even know how money actually works. She doesn't know how to budget. Are you effing kidding me with that? The finest people, the finest budgeting people on earth are people who have no damn money. Because when you have no damn money, every penny you spend.
Every single word.
I don't lose it. The people I meet in the road when I'm out in the road in my district, they know every penny they spend.
To the
So what?
set.
To the
Yep.
cent.
Yep.
To the cent. And the idea that somehow people on Snap don't know how to manage money. Are you effing kidding me with that?
Yeah, I think about just like when those little just you saying that to every cent. Think about stories of my grandmother and my uncles back in the day when like, hey, nope, you can go get your cola. It's going to be 77 cents. And then you can use that. I've given you $1 and you can use that other 23 cents to buy a couple now laters and some peppermints for your sister. So they know every single cent. And like that's how they spend their money. They budget because they're
Right.
on fixed incomes.
Right.
Money
And it's
isn't
not
supposed to change.
Exactly. It's got to be steady, but it's out of control right now. And you know, imagine people in the gig economy. Now, look what we went to the gig economy. Imagine you're being an Uber driver. You have a second job. I talk to factory workers. You know, I'm very blessed to have real good relationships with our labor unions here in my district, and we talk to folks, and a lot of those guys have second jobs. They have to right now. UAW is one of the things I remember for the UAW strike is how many of them work in the factory and then do Uber at night. Now gas is too expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's a constant tax. Everyday life has become a tax on working class people. And it's funny you say about your grandparents. For me, we were middle class. I was very fortunate. My father was a World War II Marine. We had a house because the he GI Bill, he went to college. All of us, we lived in a fairly nice little section of my middle class hometown. And I remember being 13, 14 years old. I said to my dad, I said, hey, I want to get, something, probably a cool jacket for this is the 80s. You know, guy had cool jackets, members only jackets in the 80s. You remember the
members only
right? Yeah, remember the black jacket?
No, I remember.
And I said to my dad, I went to my dad, so I need to get a cool $100 jacket. He goes, great, get a job. Because he's like, I'm looking at the wallet. The wallet doesn't have money in it. So guess what? I started mowing lawns, and then I got a job at 14 as a busboy.
And speaking of real quick, man, talking about get a job, you know how many people that really want to work? Like Republicans like to use the line, they're lazy, they just want handouts. So many people actually want to work. And that resonated with me, what you just said. I've loved cutting grass in the neighborhood. I love my first job where I worked at the commissary on Andrews Air Force Base bagging groceries. And you kidding? Great starter. After a few hours, if I came home with $30 in tips, I thought I was the richest person as a 15-year-old kid, and I had like $30. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So people actually want to work. So I push back a lot of times when they use that narrative. People don't want to work. They just want handouts. And one other thing that you also said that resonated with me, these people that are working 2 and 3 jobs. Listen, I get called a hero a lot, and I'm thankful. I appreciate that. But people that are heroes to me are those people, the single mothers, the single fathers, and that actually work 2 and 3 jobs to keep the basic necessities on the table, to keep nourishment in their kids' bellies, often deferring their own to make sure their kids are with, because Republicans are only interested in helping the rich get richer and the poor stay poorer.
Yeah. And that's the truth. I mean, look at the big billionaire bill, the largest transfer of wealth from the poor, the working class to the rich in American history. And they want to lie to our face to tell us it was the Middle Class Tax Cut Act or some other euphemism when we know the rich are getting richer. You saw it in that chart of consumer spending. Explain to me how then 10% or 50% of our spending, if it working class are doing better. I mean, that's the thing that drives me crazy,
Whose life? Let's do a poll. Donald Trump loves a poll that shows whose life has gotten better since the big, beautiful, big, ugly bill passed.
Yeah,
Whose
put
life
the live
has-
chat. Let's put that in the live chat right now. This is a great place. So answer that question in the live chat in the comments as we go to I got an ad break, because you know what? I got to pay for this show. So we've got incredible. We got great sponsors. We're going to do 2 now. We got 3 sponsors this week, which is amazing because I am so blessed, Harry. So let's take a brief break for our sponsorship, and we're going to come right back. So guys, stay with us. Get in the comments. Answer that question. If your life has gotten better in the last year, I want to hear it. Harry and I want to see if it's true.
Yep.
We'll be right back after the sponsor break. Hey guys, I'm excited to tell you about the world's #1 expanding garden hose and their brand new product, the Pocket Hose Ballistic. Now, if you know me, I used to have to buy a new garden hose every year because I'm a bit of a mess with lawn care equipment. Every hose started off the season with kinks and tangles, usually leaks somewhere on it. But the new Pocket Hose Ballistic is built to last and a huge upgrade for me. It's tough and it stays in shape. Thanks to the same material and bulletproof vest, I can drag it across the driveway, cut around corners, and throw it in the garage, and it keeps its shape and never leaks. I mean, it's truly a game changer around our house and around our garden here. Now, this hose has kind of changed my landscaping life. It's super durable, it's lightweight, and it makes this chore a breeze for us. And I think it's the #1 hose in the world for a reason. I mean, it's definitely the #1 here. And that's the truth. I like especially that it's lightweight and it's easy to manage. It goes right back into shape when you're done with it. Now, it really is the #1 expandable hose in the world right now. Another helpful aspect is what they call the pocket pivot, which adjusts the faucet to avoid tangles if you've gotten sick of those. So it's super lightweight, easy to manage, easy to store. Turn the water on and it grows. Turn the water off and it shrinks right back to that pocket size. The Pocket Hose Ballistic is reinforced with a liquid crystal polymer. Honestly, it's used in bulletproof vests, making the anti-burst sleeve practically bulletproof. And that polymer fiber is actually 5 times stronger than steel. And if you wore a vest, you know what I'm talking about. Now, it comes with the pocket pivot, which I mentioned, gives you total freedom of movement. The spigot with a 360-degree rotation. You move, it follows, the water flows. And it's enhanced with an upgraded UV coating, so the hose really does look new year after year. It's re-engineered with those thicker washers that I've mentioned too that resist all those leaks. So Pocket Hose carries over 100 patents worldwide. So do me a favor, text Fred to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with the purchase of 2 of any Pocket Hose ballistic hose. That's of any Pocket Hose ballistic hose. So text Fred to 64000 for your 2 free gifts with the purchase of any Pocket Hose ballistic hose. Thanks. Hey guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's suddenly spring here, and I'm putting away all the layered clothes and finding all my easy to wear, more breathable clothes. And the good news is that my closet is full of Mack Weldon closet staples. Now, I want you to discover an upgraded basics and fresh styles and more at MackWeldon.com, and you'll get 20% off your first order of $125 or more with code Fred. But first, why am I recommending Mack Weldon to you? Well, it's simple. It fits. It fits my life and it fits my style. The Ace collection is like a mix and match arsenal for me. They're always comfortable, the right fit, and materials that work with me and not against me. I never have to worry about how I look or feel when I throw their styles on and head out for a long day, which I have a lot of right now. I've used a lot of other brands, and Mack Weldon moves with me, makes my life easier and more comfortable. I start off the day often with their stretch twill chinos that I'll go from a coffee meeting in the morning to dinner with my fiance, and I'm going all the day, all time, and I need clothes that can keep up. And the thing I like is that I'm not a fashionista, just a guy who likes classic looks and styles. I need clothes that look sharp and I don't have to think about in my increasingly busy life these days. Now and now the spring is approaching. It's a good time to check out the Ace collection for everything from elevated sweatpants to crew necks to t-shirts and everything in between. And for over 10 years, Mack Weldon has designed timeless, innovative menswear to help you move through the day with confidence, even if you're just hanging out in your underwear that day. Get moving with Mack Weldon, comfortable anywhere. Go to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off your first order of $125 or more with promo code Fred. So I'm going to tell you again, that's MackWeldon.com, code Fred. It's MackWeldon.com, code Fred. Check it out. You won't regret it. I'm really appreciate it. Great sponsor for the show. All right, we're back. Let's see I hope we'll check out the comments later. Hopefully folks know. I can't imagine anyone said they had. I know everybody I know is struggling. And Harry, you're running for Congress. You're out there in the streets.
Yeah.
Your district, I'm pretty sure if I remember it's a lot of federal employees, right? I mean, you've got one of the highest concentrations of federal employees in the country, right?
Yeah, over 80,000 federal workers, man. And so I'm glad that you brought that up because we need people that are going to fight for to get those jobs back. Those are illegal firings that Doge did. And also, let's talk about Doge for a second. Their job was to come in and find fraud, waste, and abuse. You know what, Fred? I would say, we haven't talked about our specific policy agendas, but I would willing to bet you're all for if something's being wasted, if something's fraud.
Heck yeah.
All right, let's identify it. Let's get rid of it.
Government's not perfect. We all know that. You and I served in government. Anybody's done government knows it's not perfect.
So if anybody finds fraud, yes, let's cut it out. Let's hold the people accountable. People should not be fraudulently or targeting the government and using that as a paycheck. 100% agree, full stop.
Yep.
However, Doge costs more to be run than the money that they actually found that was fraudulent, abused. Oh my gosh, it just drives me crazy because it became a cover for Elon Musk to bring his little goons in to get all of our personal private data, to cut all federal employees, to normalize the VA not being understaffed, to normalize the people at Social Security not getting their money on time, to normalize what we're seeing at TSA currently with this shutdown going on, normalizing. So they want to normalize all of that. So why
don't forget
more money, so they can put more money in their pockets, in their billionaire friends' pockets.
And where does it start? It starts with Vought. And what did Vought say here before the election? He said, I want federal employees to be terrorized. Remember that? He said, I want them to be terrorized. And then they're in office. And here we are. You specifically are running for office to represent those very federal employees. And you know what? It worked, but they're Americans. They're our fellow citizens. And the idea that just because they work for the federal government, they should be terrorized. That's the mentality we're up against. And
isn't that a form of serving your country? Isn't that a form of serving your country?
My dad, Harry, my dad was a World War II vet. And he didn't he didn't see the Pacific. It's such a funny story. He got in, he had to lie about his age, I think, at the end there. He tried, I think actually the truth is he tried to lie about his age, he got caught. He finally got in like 1945, and of course the war was ending. So instead of sending him to the Pacific, he ended up getting sent to Puerto Rico. But he served, in the theater, so he got all the benefits, GI Bill and all those things. Never used them because I know why I didn't. Now that he's passed, I know exactly why I didn't use them, because my dad realized he had not fought in combat, and the idea of him using veterans benefits didn't sit right with him. That's so much. Now that I know, that generation, yeah. So flash forward, my dad works in the insurance industry for most of his life. At the ripe old age of 45, 46, he gets laid off by an insurance company. I'm going to West Point. Sadly, because he was unemployed, we couldn't even afford the down payment. I actually had my pay docked the first year I was at West Point, because you actually have a deposit when you go. And my dad was so, I God bless him. He was departed now, but he was so, that hurt him to not be able to pay just a couple $1,000 for me to go to West Point. Story, though, is the reason I tell the story is he ended up getting a job at the DOD, the contracting, and he ended up, because of, guess what, veterans preference. Wow. And so at 45, he got a job. He ended up working another 20 years for the federal government. And you know what my dad was really proud of? He was so proud to be a federal employee. Yeah. He was so proud because his job during my first war was, he was a contract termination specialist, which he called himself a Terminator. I used to tease him. His job was kind of like Harry Truman in World War II. If a contractor wasn't meeting their requirements, if they weren't getting us the weapons they were supposed to get us, if they weren't meeting standards, my dad was the guy who went out there and inspected it and terminated the contract. And my dad was very proud of that his part of my war was ensuring the damn aircraft I flew worked, that the parts we were being sent weren't going to fail. He was very supplies I needed, and they weren't being ripped off by these greedy contractors who lied about being disabled veterans themselves. My dad was a fucking patriot.
Yeah.
And he was a government employee. And right now, Elon Musk would have called him lazy. Donald Trump spits on him. Scott Vaught, whatever his name is, it calls him, should be terrorized. My father, rest in peace, sits in Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery. He was a damn hero, and none of these assholes are. And I can't imagine what you're hearing on the trail in your district.
Yeah, people are just pissed off, man. What a great story. Just a tribute to your father, man. I see where you get it from, man. Yeah. You're a hell of a, like, man, listen, I mean that, bro. You're a hell of a fighter. But listen, I know so many people, let's say 1 in 5 people in the district are government employees, and they're living in terror, living in fear. And I know people that have got their RIF notices, reduction in force or whatever. They've gotten their notices, and they're getting severance pay, and they are miserable. They're terrified because they want to work. They want to go to work. They don't want to just sit at home and collect the check. People have pride. And that's the thing. They believe, and that just goes to a whole nother level thing of it, Fred, where they say only Republicans are patriots. And they, like, I got ashamed, honestly, after January 6th, I didn't want to use the word patriot because it had been associated. They hijacked it. They hijacked the flag. They hijacked, you're not patriotic. They say Democrats don't love the country. They're damn liars. We love the country so hard that we're willing to fight to make it better because we deserve better. We love what the possibility of what our country can be. And what we're living through right now, this ain't it. This ain't it. And it's all about enriching people. Joe Biden said it great. You build the economy through the middle, from the middle out. Like that's what you do. You got to, the people and immigrants. God damn, I'm just getting all over the place because there's so many things that tie into this. It's so many things that tie into this. And Donald Trump wants to keep immigrants out, or immigrants that are black and brown people. Like, listen, another thing. We probably all agree, Fred. Let's get the murderers out. Let's get the rapists out. Let's get the drug. Absolutely.
We're both, you're a cop. I'm a fucking, I'm a soldier. I don't want criminals here.
They're deporting laborers. They're grandmas. They're deporting people. Hell, they're deporting American citizens. Lying, saying, "Oops, our bad."
Oh, you got a marijuana traffic ticket, 20, 30 years ago. They're deporting veterans. Yeah. They're deporting, it's just disgusting. They're treating people like, and we still haven't gotten, and I'll never get over it. And I swear to God, when you and I are in Congress, we're going to investigate Kristi Noem sending people to CCOT, in a torture prison. We've all forgotten that a year ago, when we sent just average people who weren't Trende Agua. Okay. They were just people, including a freaking hairdresser, sent to a torture prison where they're kept in their underwear.
They're using kids. They're dangling kids as bait. Like, this is unacceptable. This is cruel. This isn't. And that's what the point that I'm making is this. Yeah, this is right now. This is who we are as America, and it sucks to say that it is because we had an opportunity to show that this is who we aren't, and we had the opportunity to elect Kamala Harris, and we didn't, and we elected Donald Trump. So this is who we are. I believe that we can and we should and we deserve better than what we have now. And that's why I'm running because this is not okay. This is not okay. And we just have a calling, Fred, you with the military and just not even the branches, just service.
Service.
There's
Sick.
work. There is work to be done. This is not okay. And we are going to say, hey, what can we do? And we're doing our part to do whatever we can do to help get us out this hellhole that we are in right now.
We need fighters. I mean, the thing I hear a lot is there's people out here saying, "Oh, we should reach across the aisle." Fred, why don't you? I've had people say, "Oh, well, don't you want to be bipartisan? Get things." No, I wanna. Sure, I'll reach across the aisle when they do something right. Yeah. Every
Yeah.
now and then a blind squirrel gets a nut. But let's face it, right now, we got too many people willing to subsume to norms and traditions. That ship sailed, y'all. The
Yeah.
day you need to send people to Washington. They're going to roll up their sleeves and get stuff done. And this
Right.
idea, and start recognizing your opponent because our opponents are not rational actors. The idea I can work with Scott Perry to find a rational solution when he's on TV saying that Iran's going to pay for this, so it's no big deal. Are you kidding me? Or people saying, who was it? The Senate candidate in Michigan said, well, people just, it's patriotic to suck it up and just don't go to Starbucks as often. That's because the
Yeah.
guy,
So
lady,
man.
everything's
We
going to be more expensive because of gas.
talk about being tone deaf.
Tone deaf. Because you know why? Because they're rich, Harry. They're rich beyond measure. I will say my point. One lady I know very closely is worth $26 million. They're rich beyond measure. They don't know what life is like. They don't know what a junk fee is. They don't know what it means to fill up a tank of gas. $1 more of gas. I didn't notice. Fiddle dee dee. Oh,
Yeah.
a dollar. Remember what's the joke from the TV show? How it's a banana. How expensive can it be? $6.
Maybe.
A tank of gas. How expensive can it be? $50? Yeah, and that's $50 that doesn't go towards rent, and it's just
Yeah.
insane.
When you
So
were
tell us-
talking, no, when you were talking about reaching across the aisle and stuff, sure, we could reach across the aisle.
100%.
We'll work with people that actually are rooted in actual fact and rooted in helping people.
Morals.
That's it.
This
That's
isn't
it.
a political difference anymore. This is no longer a political difference. This is a
Absolutely.
moral compass difference, right?
So right now, we're in a government shutdown. People that go to in the airport, they
DHS.
stay in long lines. Excuse me, a partial shutdown.
Partial
DHS and TSA agents are getting paid and everything. So the Democrats in this Congress proposed, let's open it up. We have
Yep.
differences right now about ICE funding, rightfully so. That's where our differences lie. We're fine with TSA. We're fine with. Let's open that up. So let's put a separate bill out to pay our TSA workers because they're just caught up in this. Our beef is with ICE. So
Yep.
let's fund them. And you know what? Republicans said no. So they're not interested in working together. They're not interested in working together. And the same thing happened last time during the last government shutdown. Which one? Because all these shutdowns happening because of Donald Trump and his Republicans. During the last one, they said, "Hey, let's open. Hey, you know what? Let's pay our troops. Let's get a bill together." And that's when Mike Johnson had the House of Representatives
Yep.
scared away from DC while the government was shut down instead of being
That's
there
what they do.
working. So hey, you know what? We'll work out our differences, but let's make sure in the midst of it, our troops are not being affected. Let's pay them. So let's get that done. And Republicans said no. So when you talk about working together, the Republicans have no desire. It's their way or the highway.
Right.
They don't understand compromise. And
Nope.
I think you do. I think I do. And we know how that's how it works. There's compromise. You're not going to get everything you want, and
Nope.
you're not going to not get everything that you don't want. So there are some opportunities for people to get both things because let's be clear, there are a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump who want some of the things, and we can't disenfranchise them.
Yep.
But we have to realize we have to work together. But I'm only working with people that have their moral compasses straight, like you said.
There it is. That's it. Yeah, if you come to me and look, I'm being elected. I should talk like you're being elected to represent the people of Missouri 5 or Maryland 5. sorry.
Verify, yeah.
Maryland 5th, right? To Maryland 5th. You're going there. There's 750,000 people or so in Maryland 5.
I like
Well,
Missouri
that's
too, by the way. Shout out to Missouri. Missouri.
My brain. It's been a long week, needless to say. But you're being elected by 750,000 people to represent that thing in Congress. And that means you're going to have to work with people, you know, and it will be Republicans, and maybe it'll be people on a different part of the spectrum on the Democratic side. And I know people like you and me, we're going to go there. You're going to go there to actually work for all 750,000 people. But by the same token, you also have to go there and represent their moral compass and the best interest of them. I know that's why you're running for Congress.
That's what it's about, man. It's not about me. I believe the absolute number one goal is responsibility of a congressperson is to represent the people who put you there, to
Yep.
be a voice for them, to take their voices to the halls of Congress. You vote what they want on the things that they want, the things that you campaigned on, you deliver those promises. You don't get into Congress and turn and just be a total turncoat, if you will, which we're seeing
Well,
from
what's going on?
with
Yeah.
Senator John Fetterman, you know, and this is, you know,
Yeah.
my personal views and my personal beliefs on that. But just like what a absolute failure, in my opinion, that he has
Yeah.
been
Yep.
for the people that fought so hard to put him there. So
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? I mean, it's the promises you keep, and it is about doing that, and it is being honest with people and doing the things you can, and then being pragmatic about what we can accomplish. But in the end, though, it is about making promises and keeping them. Well, Harry, we've talked for a while. It's
yeah,
Friday
man.
night. Tell the folks they can find you, bro, because I'd be remiss if I didn't tell them.
Yeah.
Run the banners. And the most important thing is tell them about your campaign. Tell them where to find the Midas Mighty loves you. You know that. So go.
Yeah, no, so thank you, y'all. I appreciate it, all your support. Look, I would love to be very candid with you, with everybody listening. I wish that I didn't have to run, to feel this need to have to run.
Yeah.
I do feel I would love to, you know, donate my $50 to my favorite candidate and put a yard sign out and go canvas for them. But unfortunately, as much as I love Barack Obama and I love his vision of hope, I don't think hope and wishing and thoughts and prayers are going to get us out this moment that we're in right now. We need fighters that are going to show up and be the most effective at curtailing this administration's ruthlessness and
Yep.
this occupant of the Oval Office attempting to be a wannabe dictator. We can't
Yep.
have that, and we need people that understand the gravity of this moment. And you've done it, Fred, through your service. I've done it with physically defending the Capitol on January 6th. And we understand the gravity of this moment. So I'm here to meet this moment right now and do my part. And I will be I'll be the biggest fighter.
Literally. I gotta find the pictures. I don't think I didn't show the pictures because I look like a midget, and I mean that in a negative kind of I look like this tiny little mite of a person next to you. It's hilarious.
But it's just about doing my part and showing up and just leading with a heart of public service. And that's what I'm about right now. So find me out, Harry Dunn, FORMD.com, on my socials, Libra Dunn. Follow Substack, Standing Our Ground. But yeah, happy to be to talk to you, Fred. You're great. I wish you all the best, and we'll stay in touch. We got a lot of catching up to do.
Oh yeah, I'll be texting you probably tomorrow. That's how it
That's
goes.
it,
So
man.
I appreciate you so much, and I know the Midas Mighty loves you, and I appreciate your time. I was so happy to have you on this week. But keep up the fight, brother. I know that the barbs and arrows come our way, but I know you'll stand up to them because you always have, and they may not even reach the altitude of your head anyway. So,
Love you, brother.
air's thinner up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you, brother. Thanks, man.
Love you, see you, bro. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me.
Later.
One more sponsor I've got to get in before we go. Just give me a moment and we'll talk some more after the sponsor break. You know, I started this podcast and my former small businesses. It seemed like I had to figure it out all on my own. I mean, everything from scripts, setup, locations. It was super overwhelming. And every day seemed to introduce a new decision that I needed an answer. When you're starting off with something new, it always seems like your to-do list keeps growing. And every day it's new tasks, new things you got to get done. And it overwhelms your life. And then find that right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything can be such a game changer. And for millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names you know to ones you should, like Sugar and Spruce, to brands that are just getting started. So accelerate your efficiency whether you're uploading new products or you're trying to improve existing ones. Shopify is full of helpful AI tools that help you from product descriptions, headlines, even your photography. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and all of it. And the best part, if you get stuck, because let's face it, I'm kind of old, Shopify is always around 24/7 customer support that you can call when you're in a crunch. So start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/Fred. Okay, let's go to shopify.com/Fred. And one more time, that's shopify.com/Fred. Hit him today. Thanks. Man, I love talking to Harry. I love you guys being here. Look, this is a moment. Now, before I let you go, I want to mark another anniversary, another sort of sad anniversary, or mixed, of course. So, as you may know, today is the 23rd anniversary of the start of Operation Iraqi Freedom, my second war. And I had some great soldiers go with me into Iraq, and we did our duty and we served our country. And I think a lot of us, of course, as you know, and I've talked about in the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of upset amongst our community right now as we watch things unfold in Iran. It is why it's been shocking for me to watch the polls relating to the Iran war as amongst veterans. There was a gentleman who's been tracking like online sentiment from veterans around the war in Iran, and while it started relatively high, has slowly and steadily, actually not that slowly, steadily declined. The online sentiment, at least with Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, is now negative on the war. Polls show the same thing, and I'll tell you why. We know how this ends. We've seen how this ends, and we've seen presidents declare a victory. We've seen victory declared. I'll tell you my story. I did the march. I was at the 101st Airborne. We launched into Iraq. We did our duty. We hopped all the way to Baghdad. And once we got to Baghdad, we got orders to deploy up to Mosul. I flew up to Mosul, settled a little place called Q West. When I'm one of the founding fathers of Q West. You may have heard about that place later. It's been occupied off and on for 2 decades. And I learned, and we thought we were done. I remember sitting with my boss and there and my counterpart at the higher level, the operations officer at my brigade level. He was smoking cigars, saying, "I can't wait. We're just waiting for the orders to get the hell out of here in May." In May and June. Hey, Fred, don't get too attached to the people here because we're going to be out of here. We did our part. The war's over. It wasn't. It wasn't over. I stayed there for a full year. The bomb started going off not long after that in August. The rockets started landing on our base in the summer and never stopped. To the point where my own son-in-law eventually went to Iraq in 2011 for the first evacuation. So those of us who have fought in the war that started 23 years ago this day, we know how this ends or doesn't. And one of the things that's made me the craziest watching Pete Hegseth and Trump talk about this war is they keep talking about victory. We'll fight until it's done. They keep the idiotic memes and the idiotic comparison to football games. The thing about a football game is there's a time limit, there's a score and a time limit. But here's the thing they have failed to understand once again. And I support our troops. I love our soldiers. And I know for a fact our service members, our senior leaders told Trump and Hegseth this would happen. They did, and they ignored it. And now you got a bunch of people who never served, a bunch of children run the DOD's press office, a bunch of children run the White House press office who actually told Politico their job is for banger memes. Because they said, we've never fought a war with memes. You're not fighting shit. Our service members are fighting this war, and we've lost 13 of them. Well, you're doing banger memes. They're fighting, and the mistake they're making is they think that this is a game of score, and it's not. It's a game of time. It's a game of time. And Iran has all the time in the world. And that's the mistake, folks. As you watch this unfold, every time you see Pete Hegseth go on camera, you see Trump or these banger memes from the White House, and they're saying they're running up the score. They use a football game analogy. They use a video game analogy. The problem with that analogy is they keep forgetting it's not the team with the biggest score that wins the game. It's the biggest score at the end when time runs out. And who's running Afghanistan right now? The Taliban. Because the game wasn't over in 2001 in a few weeks when we took over the country. The game was over in 2021 when the Taliban took power again. Because they understood that war is not just a score, it's a time. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I give you that advice. When you see these fools and incompetents go on TV and say, "We're winning, bro. You hate the troops because we're winning." What are we winning? Because the idea that you just kill one and it's over. The lesson we learned in Iraq was that you kill one, you create 3 more. That for every child I killed, for every child that got killed in that school, be it an accident or whatever the reason we took it out, and I pray to God it was an accident. I do. Because there's a service member right now dealing with that. We talked about that last week. But for every one of those children that was killed, we created a lot more enemies than we did friends. That's the cold calculus of war that I learned 4 combat tours. And no one running this Pentagon and no one running that White House seems to understand in any way, shape, or form. This isn't a game of score. It's a game of time. And Iran's been around for 5,000 years. They got time. Keep that in mind. I'm Fred Wellman. This is Automox FP Wellman. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for Harry joining me. What a great conversation. I don't think that any of that was in our script plan, but that's the best kind of show. I appreciate you being here. I really would appreciate you sharing the show after it goes to video. As you guys know, the live tab on Midas Touch kind of disappears every couple of days because of the amazing shows we run. I'd love you to share the show, share our clips online, follow us on all of our channels. And as always, for me, find me at fpwellman.substack.com. That's where you can keep up with all of my activities, to include the other job I'm doing right now, fpwellman.substack.com. I would love your support for that. There's some key deadlines coming up, so go to fpwellman.substack.com. Again, it's free to join. You'll get a few emails from me. You'll hear what's going on in our lives and our democracy from my perspective. I'd love to see you there. Again, every Friday night, right here, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Midas Touch Network. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining me. As always, a pleasure, and thanks for our amazing sponsors. We'll see you again next week.